Hey, it's Shannon and welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while, but today we are going to get into the 27 books that I read in 2024. I did end up soft DNFing So Let Them Burn by Camila Cole, and I will be going back to read it in the new year. Also, at the moment, I am reading Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I'm enjoying it. So far, I have seen the 1994 and the 2019 movies. I have also seen the 2017 BBC series, and I will be diving into more Little Women adventures soon. Today, we're going to chat a little bit about each one of my reads, and if there's a certain book that you would like to hear more about, comment it down below. I will not be getting into any spoilers, and if I do, I will be leaving a marker to let you know. I'm not making this video to tear down any author, reader, or book, so please keep that in mind. First up was Deep in Providence by Rhys M. Nielson, which I started in December of 2023 and finished in January this year. I really enjoyed this read. It's about three friends, Milani, Natalie, and Inez, who have just lost another named Jasmine. The girls have formed a witches' coven, coming up with their own spells and practicing them to no avail until Jasmine's death sparks the idea of resurrection. This book was diverse, with each of the girls coming from different backgrounds. Milani is Filipino, Natalie is mixed with African American and Caucasian, Inez is Hispanic, and Jasmine African American. There are characters who are in the LGBTQ community. Themes of death, grief, pregnancy, addiction, and ghosts appear. The reading pace was medium, and I felt very emotionally connected to the girls, their individual stories, and collective grief. It also began to get spooky, and I would start to have chills reading at night. Love how it concluded, and definitely would read again. I wish the best for these girls. I gave this book 4.75 stars. Next is Jezebel by Barnard, which I read in January of this year. It's a historical fiction reimagining of the character in the Bible. She was born howling and plans on leaving the same way. When she learns the throne will not pass to a woman, Jezebel vows to not become a decorative wife. At 15, she's married against her wishes to Prince Ahab of Israel. She gains power by remaking the dry and distant kingdom into her beloved home by the sea, Tyre. As a new era of prosperity is ushered in, Elijah, the prophet of Yahweh, begins speaking out against her. He calls her everything except a child of God, leading crowds to tarnish Jezebel. Ancient powers and faith are pitted against each other, and blood is shed as Jezebel watches her legacy crumble. Needing to protect her family, her throne, and her name, the queen must decide how far she is willing to go. Jezebel is a morally gray character that gets fleshed out more than what Christianity has deemed her as. She's a woman who wants power and will find her way to leaving a lasting impact on her kingdom. A standout read of the year, another medium-paced story with dynamic characters that make you think if everything told to us is written in accuracy. Beautiful prose woven into the tale. The tags on it are adventurous, dark, and emotional. I gave this 5 stars. Then I read Rapunzella, or Don't Touch My Hair by McLeod. It's a retelling of Rapunzel from the view of a protagonist who remains unnamed until the end. Trapped in an enchanted forest of her own afro and will of the evil King Charming, all hope is lost until she can use her abilities to change the future. McLeod writes this in a way that you are the character insert, and it is beautifully done. The heroine jumps from the real world into a fantasy kingdom. It is laced with magic, witches, adventure, emotions, and black girl love. Definitely check it out. I felt the girl in me being healed and fed. 5 stars. The first book I did not enjoy on this list is Wish of the Wicked by Danielle Paige, a Cinderella retelling from the fairy godmother's perspective. Her name is Pharaoh, and we accompany her from childhood to Cinderella and the prince meeting. I love seeing the fairies, who are called the Entente, and how they are all girls except for one. Their sisterhood held up against rival forces in the beginning, and the magic was interesting. To me, I tuned out when Pharaoh started falling in love. It made things super messy in a way that I personally did not like. Cinderella, her family, and the villains had the right amount of page time and brought me back into it. I will not be returning for book 2, and this is a YA fantasy that is adventurous and medium-paced. Now moving on to the first in a series, I started Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston in February and finished in March. Amari is a middle grade fantasy packed with adventure. The story centers around the belief that her missing brother Quentin is still alive, and Amari doing everything she can to find him. Quentin leaves her a nomination to the Bureau of Supernatural Affairs that protects the world of magicians, fairies, aliens, and other supernaturals. She learns how much of a superstar her brother is while coming into herself. I love Amari like she's my little sis, and she should be protected at all costs. Exploring the supernatural world and investigating led to many cool revelations and chilling realities. I enjoyed tagging along to class and learning how to become a junior agent. I guess the twist, though, I didn't expect it to go that far. The book deals with racism and prejudice in both worlds. Highly recommended for everyone. Here we have A River of Royal Blood by Amanda Joy, which I read and finished in March. This book is about Princess Eva, who in a few weeks will battle her sister to the death to be their mother's heir. Before the battle takes place, assassins are sent after Eva, and she begins to uncover their mission and train in her abilities of blood and marrow magic with a renowned tutor. I love the protagonist Eva's blood and marrow powers and how she is the last to withhold it. This is the first blood magic book that I read this year, and I believe I read 3 in total. I'm hoping to see more of the magic system in the sequel. This story left more to be desired personally for me. I was disappointed that the sibling rivalry was not prominently featured, as it is a huge plot point, as well as the mother-daughter relationship. The tags are YA fantasy, adventurous, dark, mysterious, and medium-paced. Next is Lore of the Wilds by Analeigh Sbrana. I read this beginning March 24th and finished April 3rd. This is a romantasy with the tags adventurous, mysterious, and medium-paced. The protagonist Laura goes on a journey to discover the land of the rueful Fae after agreeing to leave her human one through a bargain. When I first saw the cover, I immediately became entranced. It's so beautiful. The beginning of the story I was really into. I related to lore and wanting to explore and make something of myself. I'm fairly new to romantasy, and in my opinion, this one doesn't count. The love triangle wasn't very convincing, as I would have liked to spend more time with the second interest, fleshing him out since he's introduced in the later half. The first, though, he had me at hello. The one spicy scene was great without the twist finale. That really turned me off from the story, but I would like to see how it concludes. Also, more editing would have helped. Beast of Prey by Ayana Gray is a YA fantasy that is medium-paced, mixed with mystery and adventure. I read this from March 24th to April 14th. Kofi is an indentured servant along with her mother at the La Cosa Night Zoo. All hopes of freedom are lost when an accident occurs that puts everyone's life in danger. On the same night, Ekon is tasked with his final rite of passage to become a son of the Six, an elite warrior, and continue his family's legacy. In a twist of fate, he and Kofi meet, and Ekon's choice of release destroys his progress. The two team up to bring down the Shaitani, a monster that ravaged their city for nearly a century, to redeem themselves and discover Kofi's magical powers. It took me a minute to be engrossed in this book with the triple POVs, but I like each one of them, especially the characters set in the past. I'm mainly a first-person girly, but I'll read anything. I became intrigued once the pair teamed up and headed into the jungle to hunt. The jungle was filled with poisonous fruit, hallucinations, and carnivores. I would have stayed right on the edge of it at all times. I'm not going in there. I love that both characters are coming into their own, with Ekon overcoming his anxiety and trauma and Kofi reclaiming her powers and working to not act on her impulses. Their relationship was very sweet, and I guess right who the villain was in the past, but wrong during the present. The twist got me. Also, having the Shaitani not be as they appeared was a nice touch. The world building was delightfully detailed, and it felt lived in. I have the next book, Beast of Ruin, on deck in my TBR, and I can't wait to start it. Chlorine by Jade Song is a story that I recommend every mermaid reads. It follows Ren Yu, a Chinese American who feels the most herself in the water. Ren goes on a spiritual and physical transformation into the aquatic being she loves so much after trials of racism. Essay, Girlhood and Sexuality. Best coming of age story I have read in a while, and I sobbed at the ending. As you can see, I am a girl who grew up with the belief of mermaids, and it's fascinating to see how they reflect in everyday life. quotes in this book are stunning. Wren's determination, while admirable, is also deadly. A very short read, being only 256 pages, and is every bit worth it. The tags are contemporary fiction, horror, LGBTQIA, dark, tense, and medium pace. Content warnings for body horror, self-harm, SA, racism, and eating disorders. I read this book starting April 16th and finished April 21st. I gave it 5 stars. Also, the name Ren Yu, I love. Excuse my pronunciation, I'm gonna try it. I took Chinese in high school and absolutely loved it. Ren Yu. It's just been a while, so if it's very rusty, excuse me. The translation for Ren Yu, Ren meaning person, Yu meaning fish. She's literally person fish, and I love that. Oh my god. The Princess of Thornwood Drive by Khalia Moreau is about 2 sisters, Lane and Alyssa, who are dealing with the repercussions of family tragedy. They lost both parents in a car accident that also left Alyssa paralyzed and nonverbal. Lane left studying animal nutrition and equestrian competition to work and make sure that her sister is well taken care of. When Lake Forest Adult Daycare offers to take care of Alyssa free of charge, a huge weight is taken off of Lane's shoulders, but placed on Alyssa's. She believes that they are royals whose parents were kidnapped and she cursed, while a dark prince is interested in both sisters. I was taken with this book from jump. I related in Lane to harboring guilt and trying to find a way back to herself, and Alyssa in wanting to protect those you love and finding fantasy in reality. Love them. The descriptions were enchanting and the ending made me cry. I recommend reading this one along with Rapunzella. 5 stars. I read Princess of Thornwood Drive from April 15th to April 24th. Next is The Blood Trials by Annie Davenport, also known as Nia Davenport. I read this beginning April 26th and finished May 4th. First in a duology, this is a fast-paced sci-fi fantasy filled with tense dark adventure. It is also the second blood magic read, as the protagonist, Ayana, or Kenna, has to keep her abilities secret since it would make her an enemy of the Republic of Marine. Ayana is grieving her beloved grandfather, the former legatus, who has been assassinated, and she vows to avenge him. She joins the Praetorian trials that only few survive to become a defender of the Republic, and kill those who took the only remaining family member from her. Kenna is my girl, my sis. I wish she would calm down at certain times, but I support this woman's rage. I enjoyed following along with her on this journey and witnessing the brutal trials. Kenna is better than me because I would have quit. I ain't gonna be out there doing all that. I wish we had more time with the royal characters introduced towards the end, since they were a pivotal part of her upbringing and the occurrence between them shattered me. The racism she faced could feel a little heavy-handed at times, though I admire how she handled it. The relationship between Kenna and Darius had me hooked, and the spice burnt my tongue off. This reminded me a lot of the Hunger Games, and I would love to see this adapted for television. Into the Heartless Wood by Joanna Ruth Meyer is about a boy named Owen Merrick who lives on the edge of a dangerous forest. The same forest that took away his mother and his baby sister gets lost in. The wood is haunted by a witch queen who has 8 siren daughters, all who feed on souls to grow their kingdom. Owen ventures in to find his sister and meets a tree siren who he names Saren. The two become enchanted via the other while trying to save their respective kingdoms, as the witch queen and the king engage in a battle foretold by the stars. I fell in love with Meyer's writing, which feels like a lush and damp forest floor. The characters of Saren and Owen prove that anyone can gain a soul or have their heart blackened from wickedness. I like the dual perspectives and how the same scenes were perceived differently in the other's eyes. There's an epilogue I have yet to read because I want to stay in the ending a little while longer, but I love the story and would reread it someday. I read this from April 30th to May 12th. The Blood Gift is the second and final installment in the duology by Annie Davenport. I began this book on May 5th and finished it May 19th. After uncovering betrayals, treachery, and much violence by a Marine's Tribunal Council and revealing her blood gift, Ayana becomes a fugitive. She travels along with her squad to seek refuge from her grandfather's allies while being tracked by the Blood Emperor. While Marine being invaded by the Blood Empire and struggling to control her powers, Kenna has to prevail or perish. This was a great follow-up to the first book, though I wish half of this one was put into a third because a lot was thrown at us. The ending felt rushed, and since it was left on a cliffhanger, I'm hoping for a return to this series one day. I love Kenna's growth in this, her relationship with her squad and Darius, and the way she got to kill one of the worst characters of all time. I would have liked more time for her to practice strengthening her abilities since she gained a lot of power in the first book's finale. Also, how did one antagonist get away? Miss Davenport, please write us another one so Kenna can exact revenge immediately. A love song for Ricki Wilde by Tia Williams had me giggling and kicking my feet. Ricki is very talented at many things except for being a Wilde. The impulsive, artistic daughter of a renowned Atlanta dynasty, she is the black sheep of her sisters. She longs to start anew and open a flower shop, so when Miss Della offers the bottom floor of her Harlem brownstone, Ricki accepts. As her dreams bloom, Ricki discovers remnants of the Harlem Renaissance shimmering in her neighborhood. The best one appears one February night amongst the off-season scent of night-blooming jasmine in the form of a tall, dark, and deeply mysterious stranger. I identified as Ricki in trying to navigate life as a young woman in her quirky personality and also taking a different career path than my family. Her relationship with Tuesday and Miss Della were genuine and reminded me of people in my own life. I hope that Tuesday gets her own book soon, or Miss Della's love story gets told. I was enamored by the romance and how it connected to other plot lines between Ricki and Ezra. I named me Ezra in real life. He's a musical gentleman who happens to originate from South Carolina, just like me. Present day being spliced with the Harlem Renaissance added beautiful references and imagery. This needs to be a movie immediately. Tags for this book are historical fiction, romance, contemporary, and adult. I started this book May 21st and ended it May 24th. I was seated. Then Amari and the Great Game by B.B. Alston is the follow-up to Amari and the Night Brothers. After rescuing her brother and saving the supernatural world, Amari is ready to take on her first summer as a junior agent. That is, until the new head minister's anti-magician agenda, rivalries among junior agents, and her brother's curse worsening keeps her busy. So, when the Secret League of Magicians offers her a chance to be the new leader of magician kind, she declines. This allows for the most dangerous person to come forward with terrible ideas for the League. Amari must now compete in a challenge to win the Great Game, created by the Night Brothers to determine their successor. The first edition had me on the edge of my seat, and this one I was out of it. I'm so proud of Amari and Elsie for being brave, but I truly want my babies to catch a break. The stakes felt higher this time around, and I love the new additions to the team. Amari Supremacy. Across the Scorched Sea by Jennifer Hayashi Dans is the second and last book in the Mu Chronicles. With the prophecy coming to fruition and the island of Mu being destroyed, the twins are at even greater odds. Kaori's Blackland is filled with mumbles of rebellion, and she is adopting to motherhood. While Kairi's land is ruled by brutal force, he doesn't realize the inhabitants are unhappy and wanting to overthrow him. I love the Mu Chronicles so much, and this was a spectacular sequel. Kaori is my favorite out of the two, as we are both water girlies, and she is more open-minded and empathetic than Kairi. He got on my nerves since the first book. In both books, self and gender identity are explored in carefully written detail. Societal expectations are shattered when the twins' nations rise. Hayashi Dans also explores how accountability and forgiveness are essential in moving forward. I plan on rereading these in the future. 5 stars. I read this from July 5th to July 13th. Moving on to Blood at the Root by LaDarrion Williams, which is a medium-paced YA fantasy with emotional adventure. This is about Malik Barron, whose life was altered 10 years ago when his uncontrollable powers led to the disappearance of his mother. Since then, he has been hiding his abilities while in and out of foster care. Tired of being neglected in the system, Malik wants to start a new life with his younger foster brother, Tate. A problem arises during their escape that leads the boys to Malik's long-lost grandma and the magical HBCU, Cayman University. I was very excited when I came across this book. Being set in Louisiana with voodoo and trips to the Haitian Revolution was interesting and beautiful. I appreciate that voodoo was placed in the light of being used in a manner by the conjurer's choice and not bad because of what we are taught. I love Malik's relationship with his brother, roommate, and grandma, who I wish we had more time with. His growth was great to witness, and the best part to me was his longing for the innocence of his youth and learning to be vulnerable. The love interest in Malik's history was nice, but I would have liked to see more of them in the present or have her be a bigger player. She felt like a lovely memory or idea at times, although I appreciate when she stood up for herself against Malik, because he was loud and wrong. For those who didn't like Legendborn, I believe you'll find what you wanted in Blood at the Root. There was something missing that I can't pinpoint in the story, but overall a great read, and I will be seated for the sequel. I read this from June 14th to August 3rd. Goddess of the River by Vaishnavi Patel was an enchanting read. This is a historical fantasy based on Gunga, the goddess of the river who watches over the godlings who live on her banks. When their antics lead to the stripping of immortality, Gunga will remain human until the curse's obligations are fulfilled. She marries King Shantanu and continues trying to regain her freedom. A cruel turn of fate has her achieve the goal while leaving behind her newborn son, Devavrata, who also carries the curse. When he takes an oath ensuring he won't take his father's throne, Devavrata sets a chain of events in motion that will end in war. Through the years, the two reunite and influence each other's walk of life. I was hooked on the first sentence of this book and stayed hooked to the last. I love the dual POVs, although I enjoyed Gunga's more. I gotta applaud Vaishnavi for condensing a 4,000-page legend into 400 pages. You did that. The water symbolism was strong and poignant, the characters nestled in my heart, and the journey I was glad to partake in. Definitely recommend reading this along with Jezebel. I flowed along the river from August 5th to August 29th. It's Elementary is the first adult novel by Elise Bryant, who has written some of my favorite YA romances. The tags are fiction, mystery, lighthearted, romance, funny, and medium paced. I read this from August 14th to September 15th. The story follows Mavis, a recently divorced mother who works at an exhausting nonprofit and lives with her father and daughter. She is back into leading the DEI committee at her child Pearl's school, and she does not have time for this, but wants to create real change. Things go awry at the first meeting when the school's new principal upsets the parents with his new agenda, especially head of the PTA, Trisha. Afterwards, Mavis spots Trisha dragging black bags and cleaning supplies, leading her to ponder these happenings. She begins to overthink and investigate what she witnessed after the principal is announced missing. What a hilarious, moving, and fun time. Mavis is a lovable heroine that overcomes her people-pleasing habits and steps into confidence. The bond between Mavis and Pearl and her dad is so precious. I found myself falling for the love interest and also wanting more from her ex-husband. I started to suspect the kidnapper halfway through, and even though Trisha is a red herring, don't count her out. I can't wait for book 2. I have a signed copy of Amari and the Despicable Wonders by B.B. Alston. Hey, cuz! This picks up with 2 of Amari's enemies running the supernatural world war. With neither the Bureau nor League safe, Little Miss Peters and her friends are on the run. Her recovered brother Quentin tries his best to keep Amari out of the fray, much to her disliking. Against his wishes, she finds a way to end the fighting. On the search for the wonders which will help her defeat the head of the League, she will have to pay a price with each treasure found. I need the next book expeditiously because the ending I cannot. I was stoked to finally see Quentin in action and would like to see him a partner with Amari. I was captivated in each chapter, and the one where they ventured into the cave prison was my favorite. Everyone on the team got a chance to shine, and Amari's agent lessons proved helpful with her condition. The haunted house was a nice touch. I like being there. I'll just be here, waiting on the next mission. I read this book from September 11th to September 19th. Drown Me with Dreams by Gabby Burton is the second and last book in the Sing Me to Sleep series. It is a YA fantasy with mystery, romance, adventure, darkness, and is medium-paced. In the sequel, Saoirse is wanted, hunted, and banished from the kingdom of Kirtra. She is both an assassin and siren, two of the most despicable things one could be. Also being accused of the former king's death, the newly appointed King Hayes sends her across the magical barrier for safety and information. Only Saoirse may not find a way to bring it down or return. While Hayes makes changes to the kingdom, Saoirse uncovers plots that threaten the entire world. I enjoyed this book so much more than the first one. The direction of the story was clearer and the editing was better. The romance felt deeper and grounded. It was nice to see Saoirse open up, and if only it could have been a little bit sooner, but I understand her reasoning. If we could get a prequel to when magical creatures, humans, and fae could coexist, that would be great, especially since what Saoirse was searching for was not found. I began this book September 20th and finished October 3rd. Shout out to you if you know what October 3rd is. From September 21st to October 10th, I read The Girl with No Reflection by Kesha Chow. It is a YA fantasy with adventure, emotion, mystery, and is fast-paced. Following Princess Ying Yu, who is wed to the Crown Prince, a man she's never met. Her dreams are ruined by reality as the prince is cold and indifferent to her, and the palace is rumored to have been involved with the disappearance of 7 previous royal brides. While confined to her room, Ying discovers a world similar to her own in a mirror. She falls in love with the mirror version of the prince and unknowingly opens the gateway between the two worlds, allowing darkness to trickle through. The cover is gorgeous, and the special edition one I have to get. I was sold from that and reading the summary. I felt sorry for Ying being locked away alone with only her fears for comfort, and understand why she would want to escape to the mirror world. The importance of Ying and the prince being river and mountain was very poetic, and I love the motive of fish, dragon, and phoenix and what they represent. I wasn't a fan of Ying continuously tearing the barrier after she knew the consequences or how rough the prince would be with her at times. The love story came together quite nicely at the end, and I like that Ying found her happy ending. The Maid and the Crocodile by Jordan Afuiko, who is one of my favorite YA authors. This is a fantasy romance with tons of adventure, emotion, hope, and is medium paced. Returning to the world of Raybearer, this standalone is set in the capital city of Olawan. The heroine, Small Sade, is searching for a job after outgrowing the orphanage. She would like to work as a maid for those who won't judge her unique appearance and unlucky foot. Before earning a position, she accidentally binds herself to a powerful god called the Crocodile. The crocodile is rumored to have an appetite for pretty girls. Sade entices him by her cure eating ability that enables her to alter people's fate by cleaning their houses. The handsome god warns her that they are bonded, but Sade is able to evade him, earning a job as a curse eater at a luxurious inn. Wanting to make a good impression and establish herself in the city, she takes measures to leave her past and the croc behind. Sade is a lovable character with a heart-wrenching backstory and beautiful future. The crocodile was charming, and I guessed who he truly was immediately. He and Sade's connection was developed nicely and well written. I loved her relationship with fellow colleagues who became family. They made her feel like she belonged. Shout out to the amenities. Returning to the world of Raybearer 10 years later and meeting up with cast from the previous works made me sob. Do you love me now, Teresaya Swana? Sanjit Supremacy. Tarisa Adagio, Sunshine Girl. I love you. I read this book from October 22nd to November 7th. That Self-Same Metal by Brittany N. Williams is the first book in the Forge and Fracture saga. 16-year-old Joan Sands works for the King's Men, which is Shakespeare's acting company. She is a talented craftswoman in the company's bladesmith. Being blessed by the Orisha Okun, she is able to control metal and keeps tabs on the Fae presence in London. Normally, nothing unusual comes afoot, but lately their glow has been brighter and the number of brutal Fae attacks has risen. Joan wounds a powerful Fae and saves the son of a lord, leading her into political intrigue in both worlds. This read has a host of diverse characters from Fae to humans, LGBTQ to straight, and Brits of every color. This is my favorite aspect of it. I love that the Black community had their own magic system and connection to the Orishas who blessed them. One scene where a character was transported into the future made me want to see more of him. I was not taken with this book and struggled to get through it. I can't pinpoint exactly why, but I will still recommend it to others and might continue on with the saga. Also, each cover is captivating. Content warnings for this book are racism, violence, sexism, and gore. The tags are YA historical fiction, adventurous, dark, mysterious, and medium paced. I read this starting October 14th to November 19th. Half a Soul, written by Olivia Atwater, is a historical fantasy with romance, adventure, comedy, is lighthearted, and fast-paced. In 254 pages, a girl suffering from the conditions of a fairy curse makes a goal to not disrupt her cousin's chances of finding a husband in London's social season, a goal close to impossible as Theodora Eddings has no sense of fear, embarrassment, or happiness, which causes her to be prone to scandal. Her cousin devises a plan to ensure the strange and uncouth king's magician, Lord Elias Wilde, will restore the missing half of Dora's soul. As Dora and Elias spend more time together, he suspects it is possible to fall in love while having half a soul. This and The Maid and the Crocodile were labeled as being inspired by a house-moving castle, which I've never seen but will have to check out. I adored Dora, and she was unfairly treated due to not displaying rational ladylike reactions. Though numb to feelings, she wasn't void of them. I enjoyed the banter between her and Elias, although sometimes the names he called her made me sigh at him. His ungentlemanly manner could be funny, and I appreciated he came around to those in society he wrongly judged. The charity work and missions they engaged in mixed well with the plot. I wish they had stayed in Fairy a little longer and had more interaction with her cousin. I will tune in for the prequel based on Elias. I gave this book 4.75 stars, and I read it from November 17th to November 24th. The last middle grade read on my list is The Smoke That Thunders by Erhu Kome. 16-year-old Nobori dreams of travel and a life of freedom. Feeling suffocated in a path already laid out for her by her aunt and uncle, she plans to run away. Nobori begins having strange dreams and comes upon a mysterious animal that instantly bonds with her. She meets Atai, the son of an oracle from the rival kingdom, and learns she is being guided by the gods. She and Atai embark on a journey to find the source of these dreams, who turns out to be the kidnapped prince. Placing more at stake than freedom, she must stop impending war. The Yoruba and West African folklore and mythology had my interest the most in this book. It started out being a great read, but then became overloaded with information and world attributes without explanation. I got very confused and had to backtrack many times. The characters felt flat except for Nobori. I wanted to DNF this book badly, but being nosy, I needed to finish it. This is my least favorite read of the year. I began this book on November 28th and finished it November 8th. Lastly, I read Breathe and Count Back from 10 by Natalia Sylvester. I gave this book 5 stars and began it December 8th and finished it December 16th. Veronica has had multiple surgeries to manage her hip dysplasia. The best way of rehab is swimming, and she spends most of her free time in the pool. Along with body strengthening, Veronica lives out her underwater fantasy of being a mermaid. Her hometown in Florida also houses Mermaid Cove, an attraction where professional mermaids perform. Her biggest dream is to audition, much to the disappointment of her conservative Peruvian parents, who would also disapprove of her relationship with the cute new neighbor Alex. When deciding to take control of her life, challenges arise as her plans come crashing down and information her parents hid from her about her own body is revealed. I love Veronica and want the best for her. It resonated with me how she felt labeled promiscuous for going through girlhood and feeling free in the water. I too would like to be a professional mermaid. The moments written about swimming were graceful and swift. The relationships were realistic and the support she had outside of her household was great. Alex was dreamy, and although he struggled, didn't let those times excuse his treatment of others. Veronica forging her own path and not letting people erase her will tugged at my heartstrings. The tags are YA contemporary with emotion, reflection, and is medium pace. There are content warnings for ableism, body shaming, SA, mental illness, sexism, racism, and thoughts of leaving the earth early. I gave this book 5 stars. Okay, that is all for my 2024 reading wrap up. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please remember to like and subscribe. Also, leave down a comment if you have read one of these books or plan on reading them. Okay, I hope that you have a great rest of your 2024 and a wonderful 2025. See ya!